Smolens. Obviously, the Smolen being a very, very fast DPM destroyer, which mainly utilizes its main guns, but has radar. It has a 7.5 kilometer radar, making it a very, very, very dangerous opponent against other destroyers being caught by it. What are we looking at over there on the TROYA side?
We've got a triple Stalingrad Yoshino. Ooh, interesting. Yoshino, quite a bit of a trebuchet powerhouse at range, and Colbert for a close-in blender effect. Makes shiny rainbows with the shells in the sky. We have
Mm-hmm.
an Ohio Kremlin, Ohio for pushing, Kremlin for being a giant wall of awful, and double summers to have some torp threat, and also pretty sneaky little subjects out going wide.
Very interesting. So, three destroyers is the thing to look at here from 007. Knowing that they're only going up against two, that means they can in fact put cap pressure onto all three caps at once. The Smolen not being the stealthiest of ships, I think with the general common build making it a gunboat, I think the detection range is about 6.8. So not easy to spot by any means, but certainly will get outspotted by a Sommers. So we'll see how that actually ends up as the two Sommers of TROYA, are going to A and C splitting, while 007 going to take a triple push, putting the Stalingrads in the more traditional anchor places here. As, let's see here, the Thunderer goes, I guess, basically looks like the Thunderer is going to be the offside, while the Kremlin getting ready to make a push towards C.
Yeah, seeing the Stalingrad post up with 007 taking central map position, I'm not sure how far his radar goes if it covers all of Bravo, but at the same time, they have Desert Rat Smoland, who is about to dip into B. No, the Stalin's Rango, Rixingos.
Ringo? Yeah.
His radar doesn't actually cover all of Bravo, but the Smolens does. And with nobody actually moving to contest B, the triple DD setup is going to result in a very fast Bravo cap, and just nobody has any means to contest him. Both Summers still continuing on to their destinations A and C, but with the Smolen radar potentially able to drive them off, I do actually think '07 holds the upper hand at the moment. Yet, if we look at A, 007 hasn't given any assets to assist their Smolen. It's a heavy push Charlie.
Now, first interactions of the game here, we got torpedoes coming in from Mavericks, Smolin towards the Sommers of Adrian. I think he's going to get one lucky torpedo. No, Adrian seeing it at the last minute and dodging, realizing that he is up against a Smoland. Maybe noticing the distance at which those torpedoes ran out, knowing it's 12 kilometers, maybe giving him some information there. As the Sommers and the Smoland in C getting ready to go head to head here. The trick about the Smoland is thus. If the Smoland gets seen, but it can't see what's seeing it, that means there's a destroyer within 6.8 kilometers. An immediate radar will in fact reveal whomever is spotting it. So we'll see that play out here across all three caps, but especially at A and C as the Sommers get into position and start capping A.
So looks like the lack of resources at A is actually going to be a detriment. While Maverick could radar and spot Adrian, there's nobody to help him. And with the Yoshino behind, is Stalingrad able to crossfire at the Smolensk? He just has to hurry up and wait while Troya takes the A cap. Caps 1-1 as moves over at C. Summers dipping in, Smolin backing up, but Eagle Lance is trying to contest, and the radar goes off. Alucard God taking shots, starting to run as shells come in on Eagle as well. Health exchange now, brawl happening. Eagle staying in the cap, whereas Alucard running.
Yep, so we got, obviously, as we said there, the Sommers of Alucard. Alucard God? Taking a lot of fire as the radar. Is he firing back? I believe he is using his guns on Eagle Lance, which I don't know if that's a wise move. The radar not lasting long from the Smolen, so Sommers of Alucard God? Yeah, Alucard God. Now down about a smooth 8k HP, while Eagle is only down about 3 or 4. And also critical, is the fact that the Smolensk, all three Smolensks, they are capable of healing. I think overall about 7k HP worth of hit points depending on their setup, if they run Superintendent or not.
Ooh, the Colbert is using some cheeky positions, try and fire over rocks, suddenly swings out into the open, spotted by Elgar's Salem. Now he's got a Petro and a Kremlin and a Salem that can chuck stuff at him. The Colbert is not particularly resistant to damage, although it does have a bit of a super heal, so if it does take an occasional Citadel, it's not necessarily the end of the world. However, Pixel Gamer is driven off whilst continuing to fire a few rounds over at Megazao in the Stalingrad. Over at A, again, the lack of resources coming through as TROYA is starting to wrap the A cap and drive Maverick back toward the center. Summers and Yoshino making moves with the Ohio stationed as though he wants to move up with the Stalingrad, who is now cut into the open water. Last Shadows potentially looking at Crossfire, but I don't see anybody who could take advantage of it.
Absolutely. The Colbert of Pixel Gamer here, ostensibly brought specifically to be pouring down fire on those Stalingrads of, for example, Megazao, and I guess we're calling him Ringo? I don't know. PM us afterwards if you know how to pronounce Ringo's name. Not actually able to get any of that fire off. I guess he's afraid of return fire from the Petro, but I would like to see that Colbert of Pixel Gamer doing his job and pouring down lots and lots of sticky fire onto the Stalingrads of Megazao, or maybe even the Kremlin. I wouldn't bother with the Kremlin at this point. But yes, it's worth pointing out here that, in fact, TROYA making good use of the fact that they know they have the ACAP completely, moving up their Stalingrad, moving up their Ohio, the Yoshino, and the Summers in an attempt to horseshoe 007. We'll see if Maverick is capable of, there goes his radar to light up Adrian, but I don't believe that there's anyone able to help actually put fire onto Adrian, so we'll see whether or not 007 gets wrapped here on the west side.
Yeah, the aggressive push coming at Bravo as well through A. Adrian taking some shells from the Smolensk, while unfortunately Yoshino's chucking right back at Maverick. Maverick not necessarily winning the exchange, already below half health. Summers doesn't have the heal, whereas Maverick does, but I don't know if that's really going to come out to his benefit. Last Shadows has moved up to take a very aggressive position at the Rocket B. Not going to be able to contest it, but he is going to be able to radar from there, and he already got a few good chunks off the Desert Rat as he ran him away from the Bravo cap. Ohio continues to close in, looking to solidify their B push, while C holds strong, both sides simply bunkering up and trading shells, chiseling at each other, but not doing any real damage.
That's right. So one thing to be watching here real clearly is will Megazao back up far enough for Andres Gelves in the Ohio to slap his side? We'll see. I'm going to come over here, take a look. Looks like he's keeping his angles pretty well. He does have torpedoes coming in from the Summers at him. We'll see if that's enough to take him out. 007, a very, very strong team. Looks like they may be regretting the single Smolensk to A side here, as they are, in fact, trying to make use of their own superiority on the east side, pushing this Petropavlovsk around, trying to get some shots onto that Kremlin. And yes, indeed, the Kremlin is being hammered from the side by the Salem as Megazao Stalingrad goes down to torpedoes from the Sommers. Big, big first blood here coming in from TROYA against 007.
Absolutely. You called that Ohio movement just right. Those two, all four guns barked, and about 50% of the Stalingrad's health disappeared before a torp went ahead and finished him right off. Kremlin is taken down by the Salem. TROYA is slowly buckling as 07 looking to push through the C-cap as they have given up the A. Their strong side trying to make inroads and stop their entire team from being wrapped, trying to bust out here.
Yes, in fact, over here on the west side, the Yoshino of Mil Muertos not being able to apply that pressure to the Stalingrad of Ringo or the Smolensk of Desert Rat and Maverick, as it seems as though their A-side push has sort of ground to a halt. I don't know if that was a factor of losing the Kremlin over on the east side, whether they sort of decided to slow down, but down to 2,500 HP, the Yoshino of Mil Muertos may even take a cheeky torpedo from the Smolensk. Yes, oh no, those torpedoes stop. They reach the maximum range, but fire still coming in, and down goes the Yoshino of Mil Muertos from heavy fire from the Thunderer of the Desert Fox, also known as Rommel. Soviet Baguette in the Petropavlovsk on the east side, taking heavy, heavy fire, trying desperately to dive for this cover, as the Colbert just spams fire like crazy, trying to get him before he can dive that island.
The fire hose turned on Soviet Baguette, continuing to push through. He does die, but with 300 health and now 0 health, he did not make it. However, TROYA taking two significant losses back-to-back, one with the Kremlin at C, then with the Yoshino at A. Their A push is broken. They have tried to consolidate around B, but with no DD, no presence to be able to challenge B, they continue to be down that cap. C still back and forth, but at this point, that push going so wrong for them, if they were able to take B and get it as a source of points, that would be something useful. However, 07 being held at C as they take the C cap, but still attrition wearing through the Stalingrad of the Rabbit being taken down.
Ooh, 2 Stalingrads now down, 4 ships down for TROYA, just getting a little overconfident, I suppose. Maybe feeling like they had 007 on the ropes here, but unfortunately, they have been slapped, losing a large chunk of their their, I guess, Soviet health pool. Now down about 80,000 HP and 2 ships over or under 007, I suppose. There's now concentrated fire coming in on the Stalingrad of Joshua from several 007 ships trying to sort of make hay while the sun is shining here as a duel breaks out between the Sommers of Adrian and the Smalllands of Maverick. And yeah, that went about as to be expected. Smallland being a very, very powerful dueling gunboat.
Yeah, Smallland is known as being a DD killer, and Maverick knew he had the advantage, taking that health advantage, pushing right into the smoke cloud and knowing, I'm gonna get you, and he certainly did. Juked the Torps was able to finalize the kill, thus leaving 4 ships still on the board for TROYA, fairly spread out, 3 still consolidated at sea, with an Ohio looking to make impressions. He's gonna have Maverick chucking some Torps into his broadside unless he's able to make some moves here, but looking like there's not really much place to move to.
Absolutely. As of right now, the points are firmly in the favor of 007, 700 to 450. Oddly enough, at the moment, if things continue exactly as they are, TROYA wins in 6 minutes, 45 seconds, 007 in 7 minutes, 10 seconds. But I believe that Maverick up here will be taking the A-cap as soon as he can turn on his NOS and make it down there. The Ohio of Andres Galvez trying to come up here and circle the Stalingrad of Ringo, RXNGO Ringo. Good lord, and Ringo was his name-o. That's what I'm going with. Possibly trying to get a broadside onto the Thunderer of Desert Fox, but it looks like the Stalingrad of Joshua taking heavy, heavy fire from the Smallland of Eaglelands. These Smalllands, once the game progresses and are able to sort of flex and do so knowing that they won't be getting too much return fire, they are real powerhouses of HE DPM. As the Salem of Elgar now trading fire with the Colbert. I don't know who wins that, but I think a Salem wins that one.
There goes another Stalin, TROYA losing their last of their Russian lineup. Only a Summers Colbert, Ohio still remaining on the board. 007 now pushing pretty aggressively. Even Eagle Lance and the Smallland had opened up on the Stalingrad to get that kill, although it was wiped off with the Kremlin from dead PWP. It makes 07 great again. 7 begin just basically charging down the Summers of Alucard God. Nowhere to go except down in the water and down to the bottom of the ocean. Colbert starting to run, and Ohio unfortunately being kited out. Ring around the rosy strikes again. Smallland moving into A, and Andreas trying to find a target while his Colbert friend runs.
Yep, looking firmly in favor of 007 here as we start to wrap up Game 1 of this. This is a best-of-3 series. Is that correct, Oscons, or are we up to 5 now?
Best of 3 for this weekend.
Okay, so next weekend will be the first best of 5 series. This is best of 3, looking like Game 1 going to 007. I like seeing this, though, that the Ohio of Andres Galvez has been basically untouched the majority of this game, as 007 knowing that unless they absolutely need to, not to try trading HP with a battleship. Colbert goes down as the Ohio now feels the full brunt of nearly an entire team's worth of ships. Multiple Smalllands opening up. You can see the return fire of secondaries. This is not the first time, Oscons, that we've seen Ohio's running secondary builds. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually kind of excited to see this. It gives them a fundamental way of dealing with destroyers. Should their cruiser support get taken down. I don't know that I've seen it be decisive yet, and I don't know if it's worth taking secondaries over, I suppose they can still take fire prevention. A battleship is going to be spotted just about any time, so, concealment not necessarily being the most critical thing for a battleship in this round, but what do you think?
I think the Ohio is partially used for its secondaries, for its extreme brawling potential. Partially used because the guns are just giant, and partially because it has a really accelerated heal cooldown that runs at maybe every 35-40 seconds. So as you push in and you start to brawl, you're able to just push through, keep absorbing damage, and just be a massive presence on the map. Grats to 07 taking this match.
007.
007.